We're fan men, Dennis. We own our basements.
Nerdrotic.com.
Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I'm live in San Francisco, California, and I am with my good friend and co-host down in San Diego, not currently on fire, San Diego, Dennis Bithoulkas. What is up, Dennis?
We're not currently on fire, but forecast is we could be.
Oh yeah, it's bad up here, up in wine country right now. All of wine country is on fire. I have two friends up there. One of them is about to evacuate. One of them is okay. He's in Napa. Derek, if you're watching, we love you, man. Cody, be safe. You guys are always welcome to stay here if you need to. But we're going to talk about somewhat lighter stuff tonight. The Justice League trailer and the Star Wars trailer, which has not dropped yet, but it will drop during this podcast and we will react to it later. Dennis, I'd like to start out with the Justice League trailer. Your thoughts?
That flyby of Batman when he was swinging in the very beginning was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got on it was okay. It was decent. But the thing is, I've seen the same kind of trailer during the first, Batman versus Superman, and it just looks like the same stuff, the same muted color tones. And I think what the problem is with this stuff is with Marvel, they've changed. They've told a similar story, in most of their movies, but they've changed up like the pattern of colors, costumes, things like that. Whereas DC has stayed with this muted color palette and the same kind of muted storyline throughout. I mean, even with Wonder Woman, it was still the muted color. The storyline changed a little bit, got a little bit of life to it, but not enough, in my opinion, to kind of change things. It's going to have to be a significant change, for me to actually be wowed over on this movie. And I know we're just talking about the trailer. We haven't seen the movie itself as of yet, but it's just looking like more of the same to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Even with Joss Whedon.
It's too late for him to save it. And allegations, not even allegations, what his ex-wife said about him aside, we're going to talk about him as an artist, not as a person. But as far as just this trailer, the thing that stood out the most to me was not the trailer itself, but the reaction videos. The amount of, I hide them on our channel, but I subscribe to a lot of channels, and every single one of them had a reaction. And it wasn't like it wasn't just guys discussing the trailers. It was guys watching the trailers. Now, I know these were a big thing about 5 years ago, but for the love of Christ, Galactus, Spaghetti Monster, whoever you worship, can we stop this? I almost did a trailer reaction video of a trailer reaction video, and I stopped myself because the joke wouldn't have been funny, but it would have been something like, okay, he's going to say wow here. Oh, I love the way he said wow. It was just really timed right when Batman showed up. That was a Batman wow right there. And he's going to go, oh my God, right here. And that's, if you could actually layer them on top of each other and the reactions will be the same. A lot of them though were just like guys going, cool. Wow. I mean, like, who watches that? I mean, I guess it was cool during Game of Thrones during the Red Wedding, but how long ago was that, Dennis? And again, this isn't about the trailer itself. This is YouTube. It's like, please stop.
Actually, I remember this started during Talking Dead when they were doing they had the fan reactions in the crowd while they were watching, Walking Dead, and they would film it. The same thing with like Blair Witch Project and all that kind of stuff, where they film the audience in the dark that are watching.
Yeah, that was part of the marketing technique of the movie.
Yeah, and it kind of carried over.
They weren't the first. I think Scream did that.
I think Blair Witch is the first one.
You think Blair Witch was the first? It was the first one I remember, and it absolutely worked. And I am on the record of liking Blair Witch to this day. So, okay, the trailer itself was the best of all the Justice League trailers, without a doubt. But it doesn't change the fact that, you just referred to costumes with Marvel. The biggest mistake in this movie, with two characters in particular, are with Aquaman and the Flash. Their costumes, I know everybody's loving Aquaman, But I mean, what we're seeing in the movies is a kind of a version of Peter David's Aquaman, but I mean, kind of a version. This is like an ultimate alternate Aquaman. This is not the comic book Aquaman. So this is not believing in your own characters. I think you can make one a little closer to the real Arthur, and you could use the same actor. But this guy seems like a beer swilling like metalhead. You know, he's like going to Metallica concerts, but he's a king of Atlantis. You know, I don't know. I think Arthur's more stoic than that. Maybe they don't want to do stoic. I don't know. And then the Flash, I mean, we've talked about the Flash. That Flash costume's a hot mess. It's terrible. And the actor is not the right actor. He's a good actor. He's just not right for that role. I will say I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I do. I think he's really good. I think his costume looks good. I think he sells the part. I think he's really into it. His performances were good in Superman and Batman. I rewatched the Batman scene, just that one scene where he fights everybody in the warehouse. That's like the first time I can say that's a legitimate Batman scene, like full on just pure Batman. And
I don't like his Bruce Wayne. I really don't like his Bruce Wayne.
I don't mind it. I don't, you know what? There's so many, I've read a lot of Batman comics, and there's no Bruce Wayne that stands out to me at all. And you know what? It was the same way with Tony Stark until Robert Downey Jr. took over the role. Now we know, I think Michael Keaton actually was a pretty decent Bruce Wayne, to be honest with you. He was my favorite Bruce Wayne. That's not in an animated series. We're going to aside for the animated series. That is obviously the gold standard for everything. So
I still like Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne, you know, the first.
Yeah, his was good. His was good too. Yeah. Did you like, what did you prefer him in Batman Begins or Dark Knight?
I think Batman Begins. I liked his Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins a lot better, just because he was perfecting the mask and he got it, you know. And also it didn't hurt that, you know, we saw the video portion of him at Comic-Con when he videoed in, and he actually said, it's the first actor who said it, that Bruce Wayne is the mask, Batman is who he really is. And I was like, finally, someone who actually gets it.
Like I said last podcast, if Ben Affleck were to leave and they went back to Christian Bale, I think that's the only thing you can do. This is no disrespect to Christian Bale. I really like Ben Affleck. I think he looks like Batman too, way more than Christian Bale does. I mean, Ben Affleck looks like Bruce Wayne and Batman, just under the mask. He's got the good square jaw and he's yoked up, and that's what Batman's supposed to be. Christian Bale was always a little too skinny for me. But still a great Batman. Don't get me wrong. And Batman Begins is actually a movie that's grown on me over the years. I wasn't crazy about it when it first came out. I felt at the time it was kind of blah, but I'm older now, a little more sophisticated, and I find it to be a great movie. It actually is it's a great movie. It really is. So I was wrong about that. But this trailer, Wonder Woman looks good. They brought in the Superman thing, and at the beginning with Clark standing in the wheat field, it made my heart jump a little bit, because you and I both are Superman fans. I mean, like, we're big Superman fans.
It's my favorite movie is the Richard Donner.
Oh, absolutely.
Superman movie.
Again, gold standard. And the more you emulate that, and I hear they're going to bring in the Superman theme, which I'm totally happy about that. And if they did the Batman theme too, especially with Danny Elfman doing the score, which I think is a great possibility, that, you know, the Tim Burton one, that would be just freaking awesome. But I do like the Hans Zimmer Superman theme too. I think it's pretty good. That was a good scene. And it definitely looked lighter in tone. It looks like they cranked up the colors a little bit, still very muted. And just that whole video game thing at the end, which looks like our climax sequence, it doesn't have an energy beam shooting up in the sky, thank God, but it's a big energy ball over, it looked like the spaghetti monster. There's like some red tentacle things coming out of a building, and it reminded me of the spaghetti monster. So
yeah, and the thing that kind of disappoints me too about this is it looks like they're destroying another city again, or abandoned area, and it's like, okay, I get it, you have an invasion coming in, but one of the things you could steal from the Adventures of Superman that Bruce Timm did was they actually have an invasion of Apocalypse, where Apocalypse ties Superman to the front of his ship, the tank, boomboxes in and says, you know what, you're all my subjects now, all this kind of stuff. And the people of Metropolis come out in the street and go, fuck you. We're not doing this. Have that in the fucking movie. Have the citizens of Metropolis stand up to this shit. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, they're
instead
gonna
of
get wiped
running,
out.
you know, I mean,
Yeah,
because honestly, I think if we're gonna say that would happen in real life, there would be a large portion of people who wouldn't take that shit. There wouldn't be
yeah.
everybody wouldn't be running. Okay, you know, come on.
There's a lot of Americans that have guns out there. That's all I'm
A
saying.
lot of Americans have guns a lot with balls too. You know,
Remember they were shooting at the hurricane in Florida. So
well, he had to stop it somehow.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly. So if you're going to shoot at a hurricane
I'm
in
gonna
Florida,
get in that hurricane.
yeah,
But back to this trailer. You know, it's we go on tangents here. Sorry. That it was better, but almost every reaction video was like, dude, they're so disingenuous and they're so old. And honestly, I mean, I don't feel self-conscious talking about nerdy stuff. I'm 48 years old. So I don't feel self-conscious at all about talking about this stuff. I love this stuff. I would feel self-conscious doing a trailer reaction video. I mean, like, for one, the whole thing, like, I know people are going to tune in to see, you know, what I think of this video. It's like, really? I give up what you think or what I think or what, you know, and I don't know. It's just, I don't know, it's cheesy. It's cheesy. If you enjoy those things, that's cool. I just, you know, and for kids and stuff, totally cool. I get it. Like, I would have loved to have seen a couple 12-year-olds geeking out, you know, with their parents there, of course, geeking out on YouTube, you know, going, you know, but no, we're seeing 52-year-olds and, you know, 42-year-olds. So I don't know. The trailer itself, it was okay. It was okay. I'm going to go into this movie with an open mind. Even though we've actually shoveled quite a bit of shit on this movie. It's deserved it. The production's been a mess. We don't know if Ben Affleck's in or out. They've changed the universe, but yeah, I don't know. I looking forward to it. I could like it. I could walk out of that movie liking it. Totally could happen.
So you and I, you know, we've been around here about 20 years ago. You remember there was Mad TV that was on?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to date myself on this now. They had a little skit on there called Lowered Expectations that they bring in. That's pretty much what I'm going into with
Lowered expectations. Yeah, that's what it is, and that's cool. And then they get met, that's fine. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there opening night. I think Thor will be better. I think Thor will do better.
Thor is, you know, right now is just marketing through the roof from what I've been hearing. So I'm trying not to get my hopes up on it because I know I don't want to go above board when I go into it, and I'm going to go in again with even expectations on it and enjoy a Marvel movie.
So we amazingly changed clothes, and somehow during this podcast, you got a haircut. That was pretty amazing, Dennis. What a crazy week it has been. And, you know, in entertainment news, only the Harvey Weinstein scandal could wipe out the Vegas shooter scandal, the Vegas shooter tragedy and horror show that it was. And there's still craziness with that too. But we're not going to talk about Harvey Weinstein or the Vegas shooter. We're going to talk about Justice League. Now, how does Harvey Weinstein connect to Justice League? Follow us. Just follow us down the rabbit hole. The Justice League has been a snake-bitten film since before its inception. I will say the first snake bite on the Justice League film was Superman versus Batman. Just the actual film itself and Zack Snyder's involvement. Now, we all saw the movie. We saw it in theaters, and I've seen the director's cut. And while the director's cut is better, that doesn't mean it's good. And it's just a dark, joyless movie that makes no sense. And you made a great point of probably the biggest problem, because you and I are huge Superman fans.
Yeah.
And I like the Superman. I think if he was given a good script and a good director, I think he would be a good Superman. He's no Christopher Reeve, but nobody ever will be, Dennis. But what did you hear?
Actually, I read that Spider-Man in Civil War actually has more speaking lines than Superman does in Superman versus Batman.
And how long of a movie is that?
Superman versus Batman is 2 hours long?
Yeah, it's a little 2.5 hours long, and I think the director's cut's close to 3.
Yeah,
I mean it's a long movie. That's incredible, man. That's still more speaking lines than Brandon Routh had in Superman Returns, though, right?
This is true. Yes. Because he just stared stalkingly at Lois most of the time and just floated.
Yeah, we needed Green Lantern to come down and willpower a restraining order of some kind.
Yeah, seriously.
Right.
Super stalker.
Dude, we have bagged on DC for a long time. They have deserved it. They had some success with Wonder Woman, but it doesn't look like they thought Wonder Woman was going to be good, and they still banked on Zack Snyder, even after Superman versus Batman. And I know Zack was already signed up, but like, what do you think got in their heads, Dennis? Like, they didn't decide to change course and maybe get a new director at that point.
It's actually been well documented that they being the WB execs, so they don't care about the story. All they care about is, as long as there's superheroes in costumes punching other, superheroes or whatever, it's going to sell overseas, is what they're saying. So they really did not care about the story at all. And it showed. I mean, you can tell. And it's been all over the news. I mean, you go on IO9, CBR, the Nerdist, all that. They all have articles about this. So, I mean, it's no secret that the WB execs really don't care about this property at all, other than making it a cash cow.
No, I think they're just more surprised on, well, why isn't this working? We're giving you all this money and we've got what we thought was all the talent. And, not that they have enough time to, they're executives, they're busy, but they're not asking the right people. And they never have. And that's why, less than half of comic book movies that are made are good. Just check the numbers out there. And no, I think they thought that, and on paper, if I guess as a layperson who's not into this, on paper, it looked good. I'll give them that. But that's why you need a Kevin Feige. That's why you need a Jeff Johns. But Jeff Johns isn't a strong enough voice. I mean, he's not a strong enough personality. He's a comic book writer. Okay.
Well, it came out that he also, Jeff Johns, and I can't remember her name. She was also working with him at Warner Brothers at the time, and they both voiced concerns that Superman versus Batman was too dark. And the WB execs were like, yeah, it's okay, quiet down.
Yeah, they don't have the personality. And then all of a sudden they put him in charge because I think he's more of a yes man. I mean, he's a nice guy and everything, but I think he's just more of a yes man. And they need a strong-willed person. I mean, like, Nolan had the right personality, just he's not like comic booky. So I don't think he would have been the right person to do that. Who's out there to be the right person? We talked briefly about it possibly being Joss Whedon. But there's the problem with Joss Whedon now too. Joss Whedon's ex-wife has come out with allegations, and I know this is old news now, but this all builds up to something. Allegations that he was a serial adulterer. Now in Hollywood, that is no surprise, but this is behavior that we're adults, not judging at all, and he's a director. It really should have no bearing whatsoever on the movie, but the fact is it does because we're at internet culture, and when you put yourself out there, when you're a celebrity, this is the double-edged sword of celebrity. Like, you don't get privacy now. This is something you sign off on. Is it something I personally care about when a guy is making a movie? No, not really. I mean, I know that sounds cold-blooded. Now, when he's getting all political and being, very pro-feminism and being a feminist, it does call into question, why was he so pro-feminist? Was he just projecting to keep the heat off him while he was doing these very non-pro-feminist things? Or is it duality? Does he actually feel that way, but there's a part of him that, is kind of untrustworthy. I won't say sleazy. He probably shouldn't have got married in the first place. And if you're not married, then this isn't a problem at all. Right. So,
well, except for, abusing the position of power. then it's a problem.
Absolutely, and that is must be a very tempting thing for people. I mean, it's easy for people to sit back and judge, but when you have that much power, and then there's the line of like, there's people coming on to him, and then there's him abusing the power, and I'm sure there was a little bit of both, you know. But yeah, especially the fans thing and the crew thing, and it got really, it's really quiet on that front, considering, with the Harvey Weinstein thing, people weren't coming out right away. It was that one model, and then another reporter came out, and then it wasn't until Harvey Weinstein was fired when the floodgates opened. Okay.
Actually, right before, because it was Angelina Jolie and
but that
who
was
else?
after he got fired.
No, it was right before.
No, it was after. It was when he was on his way to Europe, and that's when everybody. And now I'm not judging. I mean, the dude had a lot of power, could ruin careers. Mira Sorvino, her coming out, like I remember her winning the Academy Award, and then we never saw her again. And there's being a bad actress, but she wasn't a bad actress. The Mighty Aphrodite, I didn't see the movie because it's Woody Allen, but I heard it was good. And I've seen her in other things, and she wasn't terrible. She was good enough to get work. Okay. But you never saw her again. So I totally think there's something to that, but I digress. I think that might be going on a little bit I hope it's not with Joss Whedon. But I don't know. He was very popular with his, he worked with the same people over and over again, and he got along with a lot of people, and not even people who agreed with him politically. I mean, he was a very popular guy, so I don't think he was a predator at all. I just don't. I mean, I could be wrong, and I know it's a totally different situation. Joss Whedon, I'm not saying that. Joss Whedon is not Harvey Weinstein. I'm clearly not saying that. But it is a problem for Justice League. Now, that was a relatively minor one, if you really think about it, compared to what is coming up. Now, there was Zack Snyder's daughter, which is just tragic. And again, I'm come out and say, you could not like the guy's movies and stuff, but what he's going through, I can't imagine. My heart goes out to him. I don't hate all his movies, by the way, and I don't hate the man. I don't know the man. I know actually somebody who works for him, and he says he is the greatest guy in the world to work for. So for all those Zack Snyder judges out there, you might not like his movies, but he's loyal to his crew. He was forced to not use his crew during Man of Steel by Chris Nolan, and then he went back to them in Superman versus Batman. Now arguments can be made, and I will let you make those arguments, but the guy's loyal. And so what happened with his daughter, that was just a fucked up thing. And I saw that people were happy about this because they got Joss Whedon. That karma is going to be burnt on your soul. Just want to let you know that right now. There's joking, and then there's watch out, But then, Dennis, on the heels of that, we had Ben Affleck all along. Now, he's been very controversial as Batman. What is your opinion of Ben Affleck as Batman?
Honestly, I just haven't seen enough of him as Batman right now to have an opinion either way.
What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction of when he was hired was, oh my God, what?
And I think that was,
yeah. And then seeing him, I don't like his Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne is really bad. His Batman, from what I've seen on the screen, a lot of it's CGI, and the nightmare scene, if you will, in Superman versus Batman was pretty much about the only thing you really do see of Batman himself. I guess you could see a Ben Affleck in Batman mode, and that was okay. It didn't wow me. I know you are a big proponent of it. You really liked it. It didn't do anything for me.
I think I liked it because, and Nolan fans can get on me or not, I still don't feel after all these movies I've seen a definitive Batman. And with the dream sequence and at the end of Superman Batman when he saved
Martha,
when he saved Martha, that action scene was badass. I thought it was just badass because that was the first real Batman action scene. You know, I harken back all the way to 89 with Keaton Batman. And the only time he really fought somebody was that guy who in the first one, who the ninja guy who had all the knives and stuff. And then he just hit him with one punch, kind of like Indiana Jones and that was it. And and I know everybody loves the Burton Batman, but like Batman doesn't do jack squat in that movie. He flies a plane, he punches a couple guys, and that's it. He's not really in it. And
the Dark Knight for me, when he's rescuing the people in the building, not only from the bad guys, but also from the cops themselves, that to me was actually a kick-ass definitive Batman scene.
It was a kick-ass scene, but he didn't look like Batman. For one, that costume was awful. The Nolan costume was terrible, and that's what took it back. I saw that as like an Elseworlds Batman movie. That was a badass scene. Don't get me wrong, with his eyes lighting up and the little sonar shit. That was the shit. Believe me. But they were using the Burton costume. That was the biggest surprise to me when Nolan took over. I was like, that's the costume they're using? Really? It's a motorcycle leather that they just redid. It was weird. It was a weird choice. But with Affleck, we've seen a little bit of him in Suicide Squad, and we saw him in Superman versus Batman. And I don't think this is the closest to the real Batman, and everybody's got their own interpretation of Batman, but you and I have a pretty similar interpretation of Batman. Batman is animated series. The closer you get to that, the closer you get to perfection. What's the animated series? Well, the animated series is basically the Denny O'Neil comic book from the 70s to the early 80s, put to Max Fleischer cartoons. And that's so Batman's like this weird, surreal. He doesn't exist in our world. Okay. He exists in a modern Art Deco alternative universe
timeless.
That's timeless. Exactly. That's kind of like I like about the Burton movie is you can't figure out what time it is. You don't know, like there's big sedans and fedoras and stuff, but there's cell phones or not cell phones, but I mean
that's kind of like what I like about Gotham too, is Gotham has kind of recaptured Gotham's timeless.
I think Gotham really does I think it exists in the Burton universe. Actually, I've always thought that. And the animated series is a little bit based on that. Remember, they came out right around the same time when Batman Returns, which is actually my favorite Burton Batman film, is Batman Returns. So I thought they get close to that, especially with the Batcave. Jeremy Irons as Alfred is great. But my wife loves to point out that it just wasn't fair to Ben Affleck to put him next to Jeremy Irons and have to act, because it just looks like a teacher and a student the students on his first day compared to Jeremy Irons, who could wake up acting, so yeah, I wanted to give him a chance, but the thing is, he's got so much outside crap going on, and aside from the personal stuff, the guy's obnoxious. He's obnoxious at times. When you see him on Bill Maher or something like that, he's just obnoxious, and he's had his ups and downs. I was kind of glad to see he had a comeback. People before Argo, his name was Dirt. And he had a good comeback there. So I was kind of rooting for him because I always believe in second chances and stuff. But then you find out that the guy really didn't have a comeback. And my wife had a theory that Jennifer Garner got the good looking nanny on purpose just to get rid of him. I'm like, that probably makes sense. But now you find out like he's a groper. And this is another one of those guys who was like really shouting out, feminism, and it's more projection to kind of deflect. It's like that guy who's an a-hole all week, and then he goes to church on Sunday and he thinks everything's cool. It's that. And the problem is you're playing Batman. You're playing a heroic figure. Now, he's not like Superman heroic, but he's still heroic. He's supposed to be this principled person. And I think that's why you have a problem as him as Bruce Wayne, because when that mask's off, you just see Ben Affleck. That's what you don't see Bruce Wayne at all.
No, it harkens, for me, it harkens back to, and I hate to say it, I haven't seen him grow from when he was Matt Murdock in Daredevil to Bruce. It's the same character. The only thing is he's not doing the cross-eyed thing to show that he's blind.
Yeah, I don't see a difference in his acting. He with the latest allegations, and this is where the Weinstein connection comes in. So Weinstein gets in trouble. Ben Affleck talks about how he's shocked and anger, and then Rose McGowan has just been outing everybody on Twitter, basically, and deservedly so. Hey, this also explains Red Sonja not happening.
Yeah.
That was Rodriguez, and that was associated with Miramax Films, and yeah. And she had some tweets that alluded to that. Just go back and go through her Twitter feed on this. Is man, to write a book on that. So Ben Affleck got called out again. So the Warner execs, after all this crap, must be just banging their heads because they're like, it looks so good on paper. We had the guy who did 300. Okay, we had the guy who did Watchmen. I love Watchmen. I know not everybody does, but I freaking love that movie through and through. It looks good on paper to a layman, but this is why you need a comic book consultant. Remember the early days of the MCU, they had actual comic people there, like talking them through this stuff. And the biggest difference between the DC and the Marvel universe and all these cinematic universes is the Marvel universe started organically. It was not planned. It was like an idea, and it had a few very talented guys who were just doing it out of passion. It was like-minded stuff. There had been no money discussed. So it was Edgar Wright and Joss Whedon and Jon Favreau have been, and they'd all been writing for Marvel, not Jon Favreau, but Joss Whedon had been working with Joe Quesada. They just got done with Civil War, which Joss Whedon had a big hand in, by the way, the comic version. And they brought them over to the cinematic side and decided to throw in Nick Fury, and it started organically, like it just out of love. It didn't start out with, we're going to get this exec and this marketing team, and that's where the mistake is made every time in Hollywood. It's too big. It's too big to succeed. It's too big to succeed. You got to have a love for comic books. They're just not like anything else. And this many years in, we've proved it. So Justice League, if this movie is good, Dennis, I believe in miracles. I don't want to, it just doesn't, I just rewatched the trailer again, and I don't know, man. You think there's a chance this movie could be good?
As we were talking in our very long pre-production meeting, our hours-long pre-production meeting, Cyborg flying just still throws me off. And you brought up the point, he's just Iron Man then at this point. And it's like, yeah, he really is. He's just Iron Man at this point, only he's encased in that armor. He can't ever get out of it. And he doesn't have a presence. Neither does Ezra Miller as the Flash. And really, you're kind of just banking all this on Wonder Woman and Batman now at this point to hold this thing together. And honestly, even Jason Momoa as Aquaman, who, by the way, had his own allegations because of a quote unquote rape joke that he, joking about raping models is what it was a couple of years ago. And it keeps coming back to haunt him, even though he's worked on feminist films now as kind of an atonement. And he's married to Lisa Bonet, by the way, remember.
Okay. And also, what was the context? And was it two people in private, or did he do this in public?
It was during an interview. Yeah.
Okay. See,
it was bad.
Listen, you can't judge people on everything they say. Okay. Humor is dark. Humor is dark, and what people say to each other amongst trusted friends, when you make a joke involving whatever, okay, and you're with your boys who know that in your heart you don't really mean that shit. It's just we're just getting dark and we're having fun, and that's got to still be allowed, okay? And that's part of just being, because you got to laugh at everything, okay? And if you don't, it's just, you can't. The world is way too serious for it to take seriously. You know what I mean? It's just, it'll get you down, man. But that being said, yeah, don't do that in an interview. That's very bad. Now, I've personally never made a rape joke in my life. Don't think there's a funny one, but I've probably made, well, I have made some jokes that probably get me in a lot of trouble that I will never repeat here. But you know, that's the way it goes. But Jason Momoa, Dennis.
Yeah, as Aquaman, he just looks like a biker that kind of wandered onto set and grabbed a trident. And I'm just not feeling that as Aquaman. I don't know, maybe it'll show up in the movie. I don't know. It's just I haven't seen enough of it. And like I said, so for right now, for me, Justice League is banking on Batman and Wonder Woman. Is really what it is. And a third character who's supposed to be coming in, which we already know is going to be coming in because the last trailer already gave it away.
Yep.
That he's coming back. So.
Well, I think, you know, the concept, like Superman, the death of Superman bringing the Justice League together would have been good at the 7th or 8th movie, I think. They started out wrong. They just got to a bad start. And they did some weird casting choices. The guy playing Cyborg, he might be good. But right now, of all the trailers I've seen, he doesn't stand out at all. The Flash is just god awful. It's god awful. And you know what makes it worse? If there was no Flash TV show, I know everybody would be a little backed off on it. They'd just be happy to see the Flash.
Yeah.
But now that you have a Flash TV show that does it so damn well, like to go this route and make it like, I would have just made him a fully established Flash with a Flash costume and just going, this is the movie version, and not like go this. It's an Elseworlds. A really bad Elseworlds. And then a guy who doesn't like look anything like any Flash, like at all. I just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
This kid is obviously he's an up and coming actor. Okay. And he's a good actor. He's done some good stuff. So I think they just wanted to get him in a superhero film. He was a hot name. Let's just make him the Flash. And that's the kind of decisions that Marvel did not make. Marvel's all, we need a guy who looks like our character. They've thought that like down to everybody. I mean, like,
so this movie comes out November 17th.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it comes out November 17th. And normally around this time, Warner Brothers, we know what Warner Brothers does. They bombard the crap out of us with advertising. Have you seen a lot of advertising other than the commercials?
Yeah.
Have you seen tie-ins with toys or drinks and no, I haven't seen anything either, which is kind of one of those signs that they're pulling back money from the advertising on this because they're really not sure of it at all.
I think the most telling thing was them deciding that we're still going to have a DCU, but it's not going to be as tight as the Marvel universe. Well, you know, and that's what they should have done from the beginning. Like, don't make everything timeless. Don't tell us what time it is at all ever, and you can play with that as much as you want. I mean, look at how much trouble Marvel got in by doing the 8 years later in Spider-Man. You know, like
they still are right now.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. It's too late for them. I think I think it's a wise decision to go like, we're going to start making one-offs. And then once something is successful, so they're basically restarting again. So they're, you know, cause they could have done that with Wonder Woman if Justice League hadn't been coming out. If Wonder Woman succeeded and there was no Justice League coming out, or it was like a couple of years off, they could have delayed it even more and said, okay, we're going to base everything on this, you know, and that's what you do. I mean, like Marvel was not lucky. I mean, they got lucky from skilled people making a good movie in Iron Man, you know, because remember the Hulk followed it, which I know you don't like. I liked it, but it wasn't great. It wouldn't have been anything to start a universe on at all. So, you know, like Iron Man came out as a big hit and everybody forgets about the almost flop Hulk was. I mean, it did okay, but it was not near as good as Iron Man.
Yeah, and you got to remember, Ed Norton was the one who took over on that one and took over writing the script.
Oh, I remember. I was in the panel when he announced that.
And it showed, I mean, there's a reason why he wasn't invited back. And yeah, it just.
Mark Ruffalo is such a great Banner. I mean,
so
just
much better.
Dude. I loved him as an actor. So
yeah,
I was just stoked. The cast is so tight. It's filled with so many good actors and likable actors with fun personalities who interact with fans. You know, who don't have. I mean, you know, Robert Downey Jr. had his problems, but he pulled out of them, you know, and that's what Ben Affleck can do too. You know, that's the wonderful thing about life. You know, it gives you, as long as you're alive, you have a chance to turn shit around. You know, and dude, he's a very successful actor, Ben Affleck. He's made a lot out of what I would say is minimal talent. He's a very good looking dude. That's, you know, that's it. But yeah, what the final thing on this is, you know, I do kind of feel sorry for Warner Brothers. Now, do I feel sorry for this giant corporate entity? Not really, but they've had a lot of bad luck that has had nothing to do with them. And then they've had a lot of bad luck that has had everything to do with them. This movie, so the biggest problem in this movie is Batman. And I know they've taken the focus off it because they're actually the movie's going to center around Wonder Woman now. That was part of the reshoots, was to just add more Wonder Woman in. Probably a very smart move. But people still love Batman. Batman's the most popular superhero in the world, right there with Spider-Man. I'd say maybe even a little more. You know, it depends. It depends on what day it is. But
Superman, if you get Superman done right,
he could be. But here's real quick. You know why they can't do Superman right? And I know I've said this before in the podcast, because this is going to be bad. Because I don't think people working in Hollywood today, I'm sure there's some out there, but the current people working in comics and Hollywood have no concept what a really good guy through and through is. I think it's easier for them to find the people with flaws, and it's hard to write above yourself. Okay. And everybody's flawed. So Superman, it might be a difficult person to write, but what you want to do is write the ideal. And you just write them. Don't rip off Donner, but use the Donner script as your foundation. You know, like, this is what Superman is.
See, Superman is he's a humble god, is really what he is. That's his character. That's what he's a Boy Scout. He's called the Big Blue Boy Scout for a reason. Bryan Singer in Superman Returns, I know, was trying to emulate Donner, but he confused the God, the God allegory with gay persecution, which is in every Bryan Singer film. I get it, but that's not what Superman is. It's not.
No,
it's not that type of thing.
It's the story of, it's Moses. Okay. If you want it to be close to something, it's freaking Moses.
Exactly.
And the Moses story, if you're just not a religious person and you just look at it as a story, is an interesting story. It's a really interesting story. Then make it more like that. You make the Kryptonians like the Egyptians, you know what I mean? And then go from there. Superman can be written very well. He has recently been written very well. It can be done. They did a whole damn 10 seasons of Smallville. That was Superman. And your main character, you know, he had flaws, but he was still a good dude.
Actually, the Superman that showed up on Supergirl fairly recently,
he was
a really good version. Yeah,
he was good too. Very good, as a matter of fact. And you know, even Lois and Clark, I loved that quirky little show, and that Superman was it. So you can do it. That's just bullshit. I just think some of the people they've hired to write them might be degenerates or just incapable of writing good guys, which is fine. That's okay. I couldn't write Superman either, but I think I remember saying this in early podcast a long time ago, that the most important comic book movie, this was back in 2008 when we did this podcast, I said was going to be Man of Steel. because if you get Superman right, then you just extended comic book movies for another 20 years. If you don't, then you might be in trouble. Now, they still have time to right the ship on this one. If they hire Matthew Vaughn to do a Superman movie, you will have a huge hit. And guess what, DC? You will have a hero as popular as Batman.
Yep.
Again, I mean, Superman will rise to where he belongs, at the pinnacle. And there's a whole universe surrounding Superman that's really interesting. There's so many Superman. I mean, Batman's got the great rogues villain, but Superman's got a great universe to draw from that would be so interesting. And then, with this Krypton show, I like the concept. It looks pretty. I thought it would be a total piece of crap, but it actually looks like something I want to watch. And you could roll that into something else. You could do so many interesting things to develop your character, but they just keep going for that quick buck, and it's cost them now. And dude, like Justice League's going to hurt their brand. It's going to hurt Wonder Woman. It's going to hurt DC. It's going to hurt comic book films in general. Thank God Thor will be right before it, because that's. Yeah. But and then that's another thing that's hurting the movie. I didn't even mention that was Thor coming out 2 weeks before it.
Yeah, November 3rd.
That's just mean, Marvel. That's just mean.
Well, they actually had that date before Justice League, so
did they
did. Yeah,
okay.
Because they announced their entire slate of films, and then DC or Warner Brothers announced their slate, and they put it in. I'm like, really, guys? You guys put it right after Thor?
If I was DC, I would delay it to February. Just go ahead and delay it to February. Yeah, I know Black Panther's coming out, but I'd like my chances of Justice League over Black Panther than over Thor.
I don't know, man. I think Black Panther, from what I've been hearing about Black Panther, it's gonna kick some major ass. So
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, no, I'm not totally looking forward to that movie. I will be honest with you. The trailer was good, but we'll see. I know I've read Black Panther since I was 5, and it's a good character, but I've always thought he was just a good supporting character. Not that the Kirby stuff was pretty cool. If you go back and read that Kirby stuff, that is really some good stuff, to be honest with you. But what they've done with him lately, I don't know. I liked him a lot in Civil War too. Never really understood the Storm marriage thing. That was always odd to me.
Neither did Marvel. That's why they divorced them.
Yeah, and I think that's better. They're better off. That was not good.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Thor a lot more than I am Justice League.
Oh God, yes, and I am looking forward to Black Panther more than I am Justice League too, to be honest with you. But I just said I would if I had a choice. Okay, so here's your choice, Dennis. You go up against Thor, Star Wars, or Black Panther. Well, you go up against Black Panther. I'm not saying it's an optimal decision. I'm not saying it's a great decision, but out of the 3, it's the one you have the best chance. Okay. Will it probably get, I think Justice League will make more money than Black Panther. I could be wrong, but I think it'll make more money. Not because it's a better movie, just because it's the Justice League. It's got Batman in it. It's got DC fans who are all going to show up. DC fans are loyal. And Superman versus Batman made a lot of money. It did. For a crappy movie, it made a lot of money. I think Black Panther will do better than Doctor Strange did. But I don't think it's going to do better than Thor Ragnarok. I think Thor Ragnarok is going to make sick money. I think that's going to do really good because it's short. So there'll be a lot of repeat viewings.
Well, especially after what James Gunn, all the glowing reviews he's been giving it, because he got a chance to see it last week or this week, and was just saying, oh my, he mentioned, how'd he put it? It's like the 80s Flash Gordon movie or Buckaroo Banzai, in that kind of vein.
Well, let's remember, you and I love the 80s Flash Gordon movie, but by no means is it a good movie.
No, it's not a good movie, but the style of it.
It's not a good movie. It's just a great one. It's just a great bad one.
There's no way you could ever make that movie ever again.
No. No, no. But damn, it's fun to watch. It really
Yeah.
is. It's like the worst green screen ever. So my final question to you is, when you see Batman, can you separate? Can you see him? Can you see Ben Affleck as Batman now? Can you still watch him as Batman from this point on? Or are you just going to be, that's Ben Affleck? That's Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I can separate out characters from the actors. I mean, it's the same thing with Mel Gibson with his whole thing that he had going on. Um, and we've had other actors who've had that. Alec Baldwin, is also a prime example of coming back from some pretty severe crap.
Well, okay. So Ben Affleck, I'm not even going to forget the nanny cheating thing. Gropes women recently.
Mm-hmm.
Alec Baldwin chewed out his daughter pretty horrifically, but it was a private phone call. Somebody recorded it. It got out. I would never talk to my kids ever like that. But
He also did some other stuff too, Alec
but
Baldwin.
I think he was drinking.
Yeah,
And I think
he was
he's
drinking
also
at the
come
time.
out and like apologized for it. And I just don't see, like, and Mel Gibson went on a drunken racist rant. I don't equate that to groping a woman. I think a racist drunk rant is just somebody being really in the thralls of alcoholism. I think it's more dangerous that he was driving around. I think that's more egregious than what he actually said, that the man was actually driving a car around that inebriated. That's fucked up, Mel. Mel has done his penance. He was out for a decade for that. And
Well, he really wasn't out. He was behind the camera.
After Mel did that, he directed a couple movies, but he was pretty much persona non grata in Hollywood, and he was the butt of many jokes for a long time. But he couldn't go star in a movie after that. Do you agree?
I think he did. He did The Beaver. Like it was a horrible movie, but it was
Okay.
probably about 2
He
years
did the
after.
Beaver. I don't think that's a great example. So was he at? Okay, my question is, Dennis, could he go out and like be Batman or Mad Max right after that?
Yeah, he could
No,
have.
the answer is clearly no.
No,
The
he
answer
could.
is
Well,
no.
he was actually being courted to be Mad Max again.
The answer is no. He could not. He had to go away for a while, and that's see. Yeah, that your thinking is a little different, Dennis. I respect that. I cannot see Batman and Ben Affleck for separate now, even with the mask on. It's going to distract me throughout that whole fucking movie, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Now, is that the majority? I have no idea, but I think it's Ben Affleck's Batman is ruined for me. It is. I mean, they just need to change Batman's now, which sucks because I actually liked Ben Affleck as Batman, but and I bet you the Warner Brothers executives see it my way. I think they're like, they were seeing it before this happened, so they must know a lot more than we do, right? Because there was this wishy-washy, is Ben Affleck going to be Batman anyway? We're not even sure. So I'm pretty sure that he's done after this. What do you think?
Well, I know that Anson Mount's probably going to be free after the Inhumans.
Oh my God, you are so gay for that guy, man. You would just bring him up every chance. Do you write him letters?
No, I don't write him letters.
Jeez, you have a poster on your ceiling of Anson Mount?
He gets my
God, you mention him a lot. Okay, so no, I don't want Anson. Anson Mount is tainted. Anson Mount was in the Inhumans. That might be the only thing that's worse than Ben Affleck right now. Oh my God. I don't know who we'd cast beyond this, but do you think he's done after this?
Get done with movies or done just with Batman?
Batman, yes.
Being Warner Brothers, I don't think so because they're stupid. And they're going to put him in at least another movie, at least one more movie before they get the hint that no, we can't have him in any more movies.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's done. I think he will announce he is stepping down as Batman probably in 2 weeks and 1 day. I think that will be. No, I think they'll let the movie rest a little bit. So I'd say right after the Blu-ray comes out. Right after the Blu-ray comes out, no Ben Affleck as Batman. Matt Reeves is going to decide to go in a different direction. And for one, what's all the love with Matt Reeves? I mean, the Apes movies are good. Don't get me wrong, but like they aren't the greatest things since slice. I mean, they're really good, but they're not great. I don't know what this guy must like just blew somebody away in a production meeting. But there's no script, so I don't know what the hell he blew him away with, a concept or
Possibly. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with Matthew Vaughn and Superman. He's got a concept that he's pitched, and that's usually what gets you the job. So I mean, that's probably what Matt Reeves did. He had a good concept that he pitched.
When I see the Kingsman and I've seen Kick-Ass, I see a guy who can direct a superhero movie. Like,
Yeah,
and differently, like really uniquely. Yeah. And he was toned down for that, man. I want to see him with like the with his hands free. It's like he had one hand tied behind his back for that one. Just the action scenes in the Kingsman. I want to see like a superhero costume movie with those action scenes. That would just be badass.
Well, just the beginning of X-Men First Class with Magneto hunting down Nazis. I would see an entire movie of that because it was just.
Well, what happened to the Magneto movie they were going to make? They were going to do it. Remember? They were like,
oh, that's right. They were talking about
Magneto movie, and then it just never happened. I think it would be good. I think that I don't know why Fox hasn't revisited that, especially with the success of Logan. Who Magneto? Call it Eric. that'd be the worst trend ever. Bruce, Eric, Peter, all these first name superhero movies. Aurora.
Mutants now is what it's going to be a horror movie from what it looks like.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick about that. So yeah, DC screwed. Sorry, DC. We'll see what happens. I will admit I'm wrong if the movie's great. The New Mutants trailer came out, dude. That was different.
Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. It was very, very weird. And we didn't see any powers. We just saw a lot of ghost-like stuff and crap exploding, like light bulbs exploding and all that kind of typical horror movie and asylum stuff.
I love the fact that it's an accurate New Mutants team. It's very unlike Fox to like bring out the real New Mutants characters. I give him an A for effort. It was not what I was expecting. I don't know if this is going to be a horror movie or they just cut the trailer like that. It seems like they cut the trailer on like an It vibe. That's what I got off it. Was like there's an It vibe going on.
Yeah, it wasn't a great trailer. And I've heard the director supposedly wants to bring in Warlock in the sequel. Which I was like, yeah, exactly what Indigo just said. Oh my God, what? That's exactly it.
Yeah, I know. They've been talking outside my door this whole time. It's so annoying. But
bringing Warlock in would be, first of all, insane, but also pretty cool at the same time.
I think it would fit. And now everybody's like, oh man, this is such a great shift in horror and superheroes. And we were the first to do this. I'm like, no. Go back to the Legion show. Legion. Okay. I'm blanking on the bad guy's name now. Who was the bad guy's name in
the King?
Legion? The Shadow King.
Shadow King. There we go.
Shadow King was creepy. Genuinely creepy. The remember we thought it was MODOK or not MODOK. Yeah. We thought it was who's the
from Mojo World.
Mojo, yeah.
Jeez,
that was creepy. That was horror movie creepy. So they were the first to do it, and it seems like it's in that vein. Now, if they make New Mutants in the vein of Legion, then it will be a very good movie. It will be an extremely good movie. And it kind of looks like to me that's kind of what they're doing. If they have Legion and Gifted and New Mutants all like occupy the same universe, and then what I believe is there in the Gifted there was the July 15th incident. I think that's actually going to be it's not going to be the Dark Phoenix, but I think that it's going to be explained. I'm wondering if it's going to connected to Legion, because the X-Men, they don't really know where the X-Men are in Legion either, right? And that's the
It's been a while since I've seen that, so
I'm going to rewatch it and see. But I'm pretty sure that they mentioned that like we don't. As a matter of fact, I know they mentioned at the beginning.
Well, that's right. At the beginning,
really know where the X-Men are right now. Yeah, so I think it's occupying the same universe, and that will be very cool because you know, if they fit dead, all they have to do is fix the main X-Men movies. That's all they need to do, or just not do them. If you just simply not do them, and you do New Mutants, and you do Deadpool, and you start bringing in X-Men through Deadpool, because frankly, Colossus and Deadpool were two of the best representations of comic book superheroes I've seen in film, period. I mean, just like that Colossus was perfect. You know, there's all the Marvel movies, but when I talk about perfect representation, I'm talking the character was right, the costume was right, and the feel was right, and the dialogue was right. So not in a full movie, but just for their little scenes together, I felt like I was actually watching an X-Men comic book take place on film for the first time in all these years of X-Men movies. If there's actually
action scenes, there was full-on action scenes.
Yeah, no, it's such a great movie. So Fox is doing good things. I just don't know. I mean, you don't want to judge a movie on its trailer, and I think that was really deceiving editing there. To be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be an out-and-out horror movie.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the next trailer kind of clears some stuff up.
Well, it didn't show. I mean, like your biggest star, Maisie Williams, in there, and then you got the kid from Stranger Things. But Maisie Williams is your biggest star there, and all you just showed her was sitting down and looking sad in a chair.
Well, they also showed drawings of Wolfbane.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That really does it for me. It sounds like it was just a little too soon to come out with a trailer. They just didn't have enough material yet. They've probably just been filming for a couple months. So I don't know. The internet was ablaze for it, but I don't think it was for the actual trailer. I think it was for just the way it was cut. But for the actual footage they showed you, I didn't see anything either. Yeah, I didn't see anything either. But we have there's so many good things coming out. I mean, next year, the early part of next year is going to be incredible, man. We got Expanse, we got Legion, possibly Taboo. Then we got
Ash versus Evil Dead,
and Black Panther movie coming out. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff. So if we all survive Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back again. I mean,
The Empire Strikes Back harder.
Is that what it is? Is that what I wonder? There's got to be some fun video titles out there. I haven't seen them yet, but there's got to be The Empire Strikes Back. Oh my God.
This time they mean it.
Oh my God. All right, man. So we can cut that segment in. That'll be nice and long and good. That'll get, because the podcast was kind of short, so that's good. Now it's gonna be long. And so I'll see you next time I see you is for Gifted.
Okay. Is that right?
On Monday. Yes, Gifted Monday. Okay. And then Mr. Robot on Wednesday.
All right.
I watched it again. It was so good.
It is a good show.
Oh my God, that was such a good episode. So, all right, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch Legion. I think that's what I'm gonna do this weekend. Binge watch Legion. All right, bro.
All right, man. I'll let you go.
John is gonna magically appear into our podcast. He's been here the whole time. What's up, John?
What? Blink appeared, and I walked through a portal, and now I'm here.
Yes. What do they call America Chavez? The lesbian portal puncher? She portals and she likes to punch people, and she's a lesbian, so she's the lesbian portal puncher.
Oh, geez. Starting this one off in an interesting
fashion. It's got nothing to do with America Chavez. This has everything to do with the Star Wars trailer that dropped during our recording of the podcast.
Monday Night Football. I saw a funny tweet. Somebody said, never before have so many nerds watched Monday Night Football to see the Star Wars trailer appear at halftime.
Watch that. I just waited for it to drop online.
Oh, yeah. That's where it premiered, during Monday Night Football.
Yeah. And you know what? Never before have there been more nerds than sports fans, but I think that's part of the reason why there's less people watching sports altogether is because we have a new one.
Yep.
And millennials don't care about the stuff. They care more about Star Wars and Marvel and a lot of other things online. And
Is that new sport watching DC movies, trying to no, wait, sorry. Never mind.
it is a bit of a sport watching DC try to navigate their universe. But another one that has been troubled of late is Star Wars. That has not been
Says you.
fun. Says, okay, well, almost firing 3 directors, firing 2 directors is not a sign of a well-oiled machine, I'll just say. Star Wars fans might disagree with me, but that's why you're Star Wars fans. And I used to be a huge Star Wars fan. That was the first thing I was a fan of. And had the little figures. This was back in the 70s. I am still a casual fan, but I am not like, I don't live and die by it like I used to. Man, I used to be in the fan club. I got my Bantha tracks when I was a kid. Could not wait when they showed up in the mail, and they were like, it was just a little pamphlet with like 6 pages, and it told you everything you knew already. But it was just great that we didn't have that much stuff back then. Now it's just freaking everywhere. Star Wars is everywhere. It's such a product. So guys,
bed sheets and posters and movies and dildos and toilet paper
and what is that little piggy thing called? What's the little penguin pig? A porg? Okay. So like one of the biggest criticisms of the original trilogy was Ewoks, right? I mean, is there any argument to that? That was like the biggest criticism of the original trilogy was Ewoks. And what we got from Disney was the first lines in Force Awakens are, this is going to begin to make things right. But they're making kind of all the same mistakes now. But let's talk about this trailer. John, what did you think of the trailer?
So my general thought of the trailer really was that the trailer seemed to make it like this movie is going to be a movie of moments instead of characters. There's a lot of like, I don't know. It just
like
seemed
the first
like
movie.
Yeah, a little bit like that. I think the first movie at least tried to get into like, hey, Rey is this scavenger. She comes, like there's a story there. And I think that this one seems a lot more like, is what's his name? Is Kylo Ren going to kill both his mother and his father? Like, is she going to go over to the dark side? Like, there are these moments that the trailer tries to show you that you're that we've, I think, been waiting for, but it also seems to be maybe like it might be at the expense of like character development and story. And so I feel like this movie is going to be just a bunch of like flashy moments one after another. I don't know. That's what I get from this trailer.
You mentioned about Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren.
That's good.
Gonna maybe kill his mother. And in that trailer scene, where he's got his hand on the trigger and they keep flashing back to Leia. Hand on the trigger, they flash back to Leia. I expected them to actually at one point flash back to him so he could twirl his mustache.
Yeah, or like one tear just drips down his cheek as he presses the button or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I think the movie, like just like most Star Wars movies, I'm gonna say, looks good. Like visually, it looks pretty cool. The space battles, it looks like maybe they're gonna focus a little more on that again after the success of Rogue One, and not having a ton of that in Force Awakens. So I feel like they're taking some of the hints from Rogue One and maybe bringing it into this movie. But overall, the trailer just kind of struck me as a trailer to show you that they're gonna give us like a bunch of like key moments strung together, and it's going to be like viscerally entertaining, but they're probably, and it also looks like they're trying to make it dark, like they're trying to hearken to The Empire Strikes Back, which is the second movie of the original trilogy. They're trying to make this movie look a little like darker. It's the like her potentially turning to the dark side in that last clip, or Luke kind of turning his back on her because she's too powerful. All this stuff, there's this one moment where like Luke is clearly overseeing some training of hers, and it reminds me of the cave, the on with Yoda, Dagobah. So I don't know. The movie looks like it has like all of these movies, there's seemingly potential there, but it also looks like it's maybe a movie made to sell toys more than to advance a cool Star Wars narrative.
I don't know what you're talking about. Those porgs are ugly. You're never.
Yeah, was that what they're called? The little guy that was with Chewie in
The
that
penguin, the furry penguins. Yeah.
He's cute, right? Like that. I'll buy some merchandise with that on it. I just don't need it to be in this movie necessarily.
Oh, those things are actually selling like hotcakes right now. When they had the Force Awakens 2 day, I guess it was, they had gigantic stuffed porgs that were like 3 feet tall and stuff.
That's the thing is it's like Pokemon, right? Like it's cute. It's great merchandising. I'll probably have like a little one on my keychain or something at some point, or a sticker, or you'll see your kids like with coloring books with those in them. But it's just like, is this really the right venue? I'd rather see that stuff crop up in Rebels, which is made for kids, which is the more dynamic story being told right now than in this movie. I feel like they've swapped the universes somehow. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I look forward to seeing those things in my local thrift store in a few years, or in the dollar bin, or in the markdown 70% at Target in that aisle, which a lot of stuff is. And it's not hard to find Rey figures anywhere. They're all over the place. The trailer looked good. It looked good. The things that stood out to me was Luke being scared, which I just cringe. And that goes right back to like Star Wars is not only they're gonna harm the original trilogy. Like that's like, this is going to happen. I could not believe that they would be this stupid, but they're going to harm the original trilogy. So Leia's going to die, obviously. And it looks like Luke's going to die too. And whoa, I mean, you're going to kill the three mainstays of the original trilogy. You've already killed the most popular character by far, and you made him a shitty father on top of that. So you just completely destroyed Han Solo as a character, in my opinion. And if you don't believe me, wait till that Han Solo movie comes out, and it'll be the worst grossing Star Wars movie in history. I don't even think Star Wars fans really think that's a good idea. But the whole Luke, that scares me. It's like, what? I could see him being traumatized by Kylo killing. I can't see how that happened, because Luke was supposed to be the most powerful Jedi. So there's that. And then there was the line that he said, I'm paraphrasing here. This isn't going to go down like you think it's going to go down, and that's a message to the fans going, we're not going to remake Empire Strikes Back here. But like right before that, there was walkers, more freaking walkers. I don't know. For one, I don't know how, like, tactically, how good are walkers in a battle? They look very slow and lumbering. And they were a cool idea back then, but to be redone again, it just looks like they're going to remake Empire again, which they said they weren't going to do. And that would be beyond a disgrace. I think you would actually get a fan revolt.
That Captain Phasma fight looks pretty cool, though. I have to say, like, that was one of the darker moments. Again, moments, right? Like, these are moments that they're throwing at us. But she didn't get to do much in the first movie, and so I like that we're getting.
All you saw was Finn swing a sword down. She blocked it with the staff, and they stared at each other, and they close up on her helmet. That was it.
That's true. That better be a fight there. That better be like a scene.
I could be wrong. I mean, again, the trailer looked pretty good, but so did the last ones too. Right. And you're so right.
It wasn't as good as the first
No. It still looked pretty good, but I think you're dead on about the moments. And that's what Force Awakens was. It was just a long trailer. Yeah. And that's essentially how it played out. All those rad scenes that you saw in the trailer, you're like, man, I can't wait to see what led up to the Millennium Falcon flying through a dead Star Destroyer.
Yes,
and it was
but they just did it. Yeah.
It was just Rey finding the Millennium Falcon, starting it, and piloting it. And that was what led up to it. I'm like, really? And I knew we were off to the races right there. So,
and what was up with the CGI Chewbacca?
The Chewie looked bad.
Was it? Well, they just bad costuming.
No, it was CGI.
He looked like he was blow dried. Yeah,
they did a CGI overlay, because a lot of people have been talking about that, how CGI'd it looked. It almost looked like one of the CGI creations for Rebels, like that kind of throwback.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I tried. I did not see what anybody said online. I tried to go into this completely open-minded. I am not a fan of The Force Awakens. I liked Rogue One. I thought it was a good movie. I think that it was an infinitely better movie than The Force Awakens. I hope they try to go more Rogue One and flip it. And, dude, if they made Rey actually go dark, like, then you would have me. I'm in. I'm totally into the story if they flip it with Kylo and Rey. That would be cool. That would be different. I don't think they're going to do that, though. And I think the whole Kylo holding his hand out scene, I think they're going to do like Luke going into the tree in Dagobah. I think they're going to redo that scene, and I think that's what it's from. So I've actually heard that they're going to do that. So
take my hand, pull my finger.
I don't know. But I don't want to come in like full hate fest on this either. I want to give it a chance because it could be good. It could be good. And I don't know. But my initial reaction to trailers, it looked pretty good, but I didn't really like the Luke being scared thing.
Here's the thing. I was more of a fan of Force Awakens than most people, definitely than you guys. But the Force Awakens trailers were better than this. So if you're comparing, like, okay, I went in thinking Force Awakens was going to be really, really good. I thought it was good. And now you're giving me a trailer that I'm like a little less impressed with, then I'm probably going to be less impressed with the movie, right? And I want to be more impressed with the next one, not less impressed with it. So that's kind of where I'm coming off of this trailer. Is like, it looks pretty good, but it doesn't look as good as the Force Awakens trailers looked. And if that's the case, then the bar of Force Awakens is probably, like, if the trailer is indicative of the quality of the movie, I liked the Force Awakens trailers more.
Yeah, well, and also, this is the first one without Han Solo. The Han Solo being back factor, I think, added $1 billion to this movie. It made $2 billion worldwide. So I don't think it's going to do half as much, but I think it'll be 25% down, 30% down from what Force Awakens was. And that's manageable because that was the first one. You had a long time and you brought the original cast back, but none of them shared screen time together. But I don't know.
And
Dennis,
they're slightly cheaper to make than the Marvel movies for Disney. So if they're making, the same amount, but it's cheaper to make, then they'll be happy with it.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Bottom line, always it wins. You're absolutely right there. Dennis, what was the general sentiment online?
Kind of. It kind of varied. It went back and forth between, oh, wow, to, it's okay. We'll wait and see. So it was 50-50.
So, but it wasn't like, because when Force Awakens came out, it was like 100%. Bah! Wouldn't you agree on that one?
Yeah.
So I got to see what the World-Class Bullshitters are a podcast I listen to quite a bit. And because their opinions on Star Wars are lock, stock, and barrel with me and more Dennis. And a little bit with John. I mean, they're fans. They're actual fans. They just it's kind of like being like a fan of the Chargers. When you've been a fan of something for 30 years, you just grow critical. You're not like a Raider fan who just loves everything they do. Star Wars fans are kind of like Raider fans. They're kind of myopic. They're just I love it. It's the Raiders. Charger fans are more cynical. Well, what's left of us. And we criticize our team when it's not doing well. And I think that's a real fan. I think that's a real fan. I don't think it's a real fan to continue and buy stuff when something's bad. I think you're just enabling a bad product at that point and ensuring its demise. I don't know. I'm very interested. I'm going to see what they say about it. I'm going to, watch all I just had a diatribe on trailer reactions, John, that you missed earlier.
Yeah.
Like, these things need to be put to bed, of the guys like watching, not people talking about the trailer, but people watching them and, go, wow. Yeah. I mean, I think it would still be cool if it was kids, and seeing kids get excited, or even teenagers, but seeing 48-year-old guys geeking out over a trailer is, I told Dennis, I am never self-conscious when I do this. We're talking about nerd stuff, and I'm a 40-year-old guy, and should I be doing better stuff? And no, I love doing this, but I would be self-conscious doing that. I would be like, oh, that's weird.
Like, what am I doing? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Look, the important thing is like the discussion. Oh crap, I keep hitting it. The discussion that you have around a lot of these things, and to just like watch something and react like in the moment. Like you said, it's great with kids, especially if you took like a kid and showed him like an old like trailer for the original Star Wars, right? And they had never seen a Star Wars movie before, and you show them this awesome trailer for, like, that's a reaction I want to see, like the wonderment that you get the first time you see one of these things. But eventually, like you said, you get kind of jaded as a fan when the movies have never lived up to the promise of Empire Strikes Back really since then, right? Like none of them have really, that the promise of that movie was so great, and Jedi was good, but everything kind of falls short after that. And I don't think we're ever going to get that again with Star Wars. So I think we just have to be happy with, we don't have to be happy with what we get, but if it's if it's fun, like for me, it's always a fun bar. If I had fun, I'm good. And then I can be critical about like little things I liked or didn't like within that. But if I don't have fun with a movie, that's a non-starter. And so like for me,
yeah,
Force Awakens was fun. I had fun with it. There are problems, big problems with the movie, but I enjoyed my experience at the movie theater. Same thing with Rogue One. And so as long as this movie does this, I feel good about giving it my money. That's when I got out of episode 3, or the prequels. When I left the theater after the prequels, that's when I was like, what is this? Like, give me my money back. Like, I still remember seeing Phantom Menace and being like, that wasn't a Star Wars movie. Like, what did I just see?
That was C-SPAN.
Yeah, it was so weird.
C-SPAN.
So,
yep.
Yeah, so for me, as long as I feel like I had fun and I experienced, I could have used some more lightsabers from The Force Awakens, and it looks like they'll give us that in this movie. So fine, I don't know.
Hey, remember the trailers were good for Phantom Menace. They were good trailers. If we can remember that far back, and I was excited, but I'll never forget sitting down with my friend Doug and Jay at the time, and I turned around and I'm like, what if this sucks?
Yeah.
Before
it started.
The movie that you don't like, Fanboys, does the exact same thing. They're talking about the prequels, and the very last line that they say is like, what if it sucks?
Yep. Well, I said that.
Yeah.
The guy must have been sitting behind me. No, I'm sure a lot of people said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So just a huge weekend for nerdiness though. Wow.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
John, what did you think of the I'm sorry, you said JLA, the JL trailer? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Just a quick reaction to it was that everyone is awfully quippy and snarky in that trailer. So if like that's what they're giving us, they're selling this as like a snarky team up movie. Wow, like that's the marketing behind it. It's crazy to me. That said, there were some cool moments in it. I don't think it's going to be a fun movie, and I don't think it's going to be a particularly good movie, and it's way too snarky for my like. But it also looked like they at least took care in making what they're trying to make. I just think what they're trying to make isn't what I'm trying to watch.
No, that ending looks like a
snarky,
bad video game.
I'm going to go back and give you my reaction to
Star Wars
last. Yeah, since I didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
So I basically saw Empire. I saw Return of the Jedi in there, and then there was one weird thing that actually I didn't understand why they destroyed this. It was, you see a pyre of somebody's burning body on there, and you see the robotic hand come up, and then they cut to a different montage, and they come back, and you see Luke crawling out of that pit that we had just seen on fire, which obviously someone tried burning him alive, I guess is what it was. And I'm like, so was he left for dead and they went to go burn his body, and then he doesn't burn, and he gets out of it somehow because he's
or it's all part of the new cave scene, maybe. Who knows? If they could be totally messing with this, and all of this is a fear dream for Rey.
Yeah, and then the whole thing where the way they cut it, and I don't think it's actually right, is that Snoke is telling, now that you're mine or something, now you're going to join us or something. And then you see Rey like arching back and kind of,
like she's being tortured. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think they're trying to, intersplice that, Krylo brings her over to Snoke, and Snoke is trying to turn her and all of this. And it's just really, really heavy-handed, kind of bad editing too, for the most part, on that trailer as well. It was just bad all the way. At first I was okay, I was kind of into it, and then I saw the bad editing and some of the bad CGI, and I'm like, okay, I'm out.
I feel like the Porg maybe is their way of trying to distract from everything else that's in the trailer. Because that's what people, I think that's what probably most people are going to be talking about is this cute new creature that we're seeing. But
yeah, well, they already are. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to me like maybe that's their way of kind of distracting from a mediocre trailer around. It also is just missing. Anyway, I've already said my piece, but I
go on. It's all right.
I just don't want to be too negative about it just because it is just a trailer. But at the same time, like it's hard. I get excited when I watch a lot of trailers, and this wasn't, like I said, wasn't nearly as exciting as the Force Awakens for me. So, it kind of dampens it when it's just like, wow, the movie that I thought was like, I liked it, but I like it more than most people. And this trailer that we just got now it seems like it's going to be not as good of a movie as the first one. And people wanted a better movie than the first one.
Yeah. Like you're talking about feeling some kind of excitement for a movie. The latest Thor Ragnarok, the last Thor Ragnarok trailer dropped with Hela,
the
walking
Avengers
towards,
trailer.
Yeah. Where she's walking towards the throne and she goes, "You're in my seat." And I was like, hell yeah, that's actually looking really good, really love that trailer. That actually brought me chills, and I was like, I really want to see this movie.
Yes, agreed. So yeah, it didn't do that for me. I always go into these things expecting to at least have a good time, and so that's my kind of bar. And hopefully, this movie does it. The trailer was good. It was good enough. And the Porg, I think the Porg, people will be talking about the Porg, right? Like nothing else really matters in that trailer when it comes down to it. They got the Porg out there.
Obviously, Luke was eating a lot of porg while he was on that planet because he's a little bit.
He's porging out.
He's porging out. Yeah, he is a little porging out.
Yeah, there's a Porg right there. It looks like they're going to be doing like in the meteor again. It does look like they're just absolutely remaking Empire here. I'm watching that. I was looking for that hand scene, but that looks like Bespin. There's a hand coming out of the fire. The whole Darth Vader, like this, you can't see. But I hope, what, the one thing that I kind of was into in The Force Awakens was the Darth Vader artifact. And I was, and he mentioned that, hey, you've spoken to me before. I don't know if it was just saying it like a prayer or if the dark side Darth Vader actually communicated with him. That would be something I'm absolutely into. No, I don't want Darth Vader back, but like maybe like his dark side is communicating with Kylo, or maybe
like
he's trying to
Force ghosts,
or he is trying to communicate with him to like tell him to get the hell away from Snoke, but he can't come back because he was half dark and like Kylo's like misinterpreting what he's saying. That would be interesting. But this really looks like they're going to remake Empire Strikes Back. And
can they replace
it looks pretty. You know what? That little llama thing that was like, those are more aliens I want to see. I want to see more stuff like the cutesy little thing. That little llama thing was cool.
You mean the ice fox or whatever?
Whatever that was. Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so. Yeah, I agree with you. Rad. That was a cool looking different thing. I was impressed with that. I remember being like, oh, ice wolf. That's good. I like it. So maybe they'll give us more.
Yeah, there's his hand coming out of the fire. Yeah, you're right, Dennis. There's a hand coming out of the fire. Oh, and there's the Force books or whatever the hell they're called. And yeah,
you see him crawling out of that pit. The pyre right afterwards.
Don't you think that was a flashback to when Kylo killed all the little Jedis and maybe Luke?
It could be, yeah.
Part of that.
Agreed.
I don't know. When I heard. What got me down the most when I heard the interview with Kasdan and J.J. Abrams, and they talked about their screenwriting technique for Force Awakens, and it was basically they were doing it as they go, which, dude, it worked for Iron Man. But J.J. said, I wanted to keep a lot of things open for the two directors who were going to take over. So they didn't map anything out. Like he came out and said that they didn't map out this trilogy. We're going to have this starting point, and we're looking at the other two guys write the rest.
Show me how you feel about it.
Like what? That's like...
Well, that's how they write comic books, right? Like that's how Claremont did all his writing on the
John Byrne wrote half of those books that he drew. So, and he filled in a lot of blanks. That's how you write comic books. But like, don't you have an ending plotted out? Don't you have like just a basic outline? I'm not saying every detail.
A new trilogy. You have a plan usually when you have a trilogy.
Yeah, typically.
And you know, where are they going to go after this? Like, are they going to do another trilogy, or are they just going to do side stories? I don't know. I think what I hear in a lot of Star Wars fans who are critical of weren't as critical. They were critical about the movie Star Wars. Like, what direction? You know, you killed all the canon that people actually liked. People love those Star Wars books. I never read any of them, but people were big fans of those things. And some of the stories that I heard about were really cool. And they have borrowed a lot for this movie. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the trailer was horrible. It definitely has me intrigued. Of course, see it opening night, and we will be podcasting about it for sure. And just like that, Jon is gone. You know, kind of like Lucifer. He's gone. And just like that. No, it's even bad. Sorry. What's up? What's up, Dennis? We've got one more thing to talk about. This is, by the way, this has been a 2-week long podcast. We've been just sitting here talking for 2 weeks. It's just taken us some time to get it out, and new things keep happening as I'm editing this podcast. So this will be the last thing, we hope, is the Black Panther trailer dropped. But one thing, Dennis and I were just talking about IO9, and it got
Spoilers mainly.
the spoilers, and they put up a big spoiler today about the Thor movie. Don't go and look at it, okay? I'm not going to say what it is. Dennis doesn't even know what it is, but IO9, you know, they've made their living off of spoilers, and so is Bleeding Cool, and so are these other fan sites. But I'm finding them to be slow on stuff now. Things are happening so fast now, Dennis, that actually Twitter and YouTube are beating them to stories continually now. And I think, I think that's why more people are coming to YouTube. And I think it's actually hurting. And unless it's guys talking about their art, there is a lot of guys out there who just read articles from these websites, which I'm sure they love because it gets them clicks.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it's just reading verbatim. But I don't know. I've had a problem with IO9 since they spoiled the last page of Hellboy, and you said it goes back further than that with them.
Yeah, I can't remember specifically what it was. I wiped it from my memory, but there was something that if I remember correctly, I think it was a TV show that had just aired the night before. It was in my DVR, and they basically spoiled a big spoiler right in the headline. So it wasn't like you could just scroll through and miss it. And
it was Flash. And you bitched about it on the podcast. It was Flash. Yeah. And I remember that. And you know what? It's like everybody does it. We do spoilers too. We give you fair warning though. We don't put it in the headline. We don't put it in the title of our video. But honestly, I found out about the spoiler today way quicker than any website, and it was from, I won't give out the guy because I don't want people to get spoiled. It does really spoil the movie. It kind of sucks that they did it.
See, yeah, I mean, we talked about this too with James Gunn had spoiled an appearance in a post, because I follow James Gunn on Facebook. And if you don't know who James Gunn is, he's the guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2, Slither, a couple other movies. And he had seen it and he was very enthusiastic about it, and he just happened to spoil two people that are in the movie that I didn't know were in the movie. And it was just because he was very excited about it, and he was just relaying how excited he was for this movie and wanted to see it again. And I understand he didn't give anything out from the plot or anything like that. And while I was disappointed that I don't get to see that now, but at the same time, I understood where he came from, because he's a fanboy just like the rest of us, and he didn't censor himself. It just, it happens.
We're fan men, Dennis. We own our basements. But I love his enthusiasm. And by the way, James Gunn, the de facto head of Marvel now, the creative force. Now Kevin Feige's still the head, but now the Russo brothers after Avengers are going to exit and do other projects, and James Gunn will be the man. And nice. Especially since things are going to be going somewhat cosmic. If there is a phase 4, that is, they have never come out and said there's definitively going to be a phase 4. There is even a hint of it in a Kevin Feige interview that this is the end. Now they're going to continue Marvel movies, but with the whole phase thing, I think they're going to stop doing that. Unless they do that Hulk trilogy thing that they're kind of, and that depends on Mark Ruffalo. Now, if all bets are off if they do that, that will be amazing. And they can set that up in the movie in the movie following the movie we're about to talk about. But if they decide to loop back around and do World War Hulk, Planet Hulk to me was the last classic Marvel series. It was Secret Invasion was good, but I wouldn't call it classic. Fear itself wasn't that great. Avengers versus X-Men, it fell flat for me. It started out really good. Civil War and Planet Hulk and World War Hulk were awesome. They all kind of led into each other and were connected. Oh, and Annihilation. Annihilation was amazing too. Those were good. 10 years ago was really good times for Marvel. That was like a little golden age. And also Black Panther was very good back then too.
It was, yeah.
By Reggie Hudlin. And
it was kind of funny. Kevin Feige actually said the movie Civil War, somebody guessed one of their endings was that, Hulk actually goes into space, on that Quinjet that he's on. And that actually leads into, Planet Hulk and all that kind of stuff. So they were kind of upset that was actually kind of guessed at. And you know how they changed it in the movie? Instead of having black skies, showing him going to space in the Quinjet, they changed the background to blue skies.
Blue skies.
And then he ends up on an island.
I didn't think the Quinjet could go into space anyway. I never fully bought that. We're going to find out how he got there. I think that'll be interesting in itself. But Thor is just around the corner and we can't wait, but they dropped the trailer, the first trailer was really average in my opinion. And, I spoke earlier in this podcast about how I feel about Black Panther. I like Black Panther. I don't love Black Panther because he's just always been kind of, in the 70s and 80s, he was just a supporting character who was really cool, a cool concept. The Kirby stuff was great, but they never really super dived into it. In the 80s, they've always given it a shot. His books got canceled. Now, remember, his book got canceled when comics used to sell almost in the millions. So when Reggie Hudlin took over, and even before him, Christopher Priest, which I believe was better than Reggie Hudlin's run, they brought Black Panther back in the Marvel Knights, and it was badass. It was really badass. Now Reggie Hudlin's story was good, but he retconned the shit out of him and made him like he beat the Silver Surfer and just made him this super powerful fucking being. Which, as much as I like the run. The Black Panther I read was a dude in a costume who was just badass. Okay. What Marvel's done is retconned him, and it's good in the aspect of the movies, especially when they're about to take off Thanos. And the way they're explaining Wakanda and how it exists, it doesn't exist in our world. It's hidden. It's a hidden world. But they still have a lot of explaining to do. Like, where the hell were you during the Battle of New York? Hopefully they explain that a little bit because they could have really helped with their 25th century technology. But the trailer, dude, was really, really good. Really good. I mean,
I love the details on the Wakandan cities. It looked very Blade Runner-esque.
And a little Fifth Element too.
Yeah, and a little Fifth Element.
Yeah. It had a layer of dirt, a texture. It had a texture. Something Blade Runner 2049 lacked, in my opinion, was texture.
Yeah.
Dude, the effects just you could tell that the first, I was pretty harsh on the effects of that car jump in the first trailer, but if you watch it from that trailer to this trailer, they've improved it a lot.
They went through and did the renders. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and they still have more to do. But the whole shot where he's dropping out of the ship, like don't freeze, and he dropped. That was amazing. And I was watching that in like super high def on my Mac. And dude, I'm fired. Early in the podcast, I was like, I'm not that excited about the movie. I'm pretty excited about the movie now. The trailer really changed my mind.
And Michael B. Jordan being as yoked as he is,
as Killmonger, he looks badass. And again, Marvel takes a former Human Torch and puts them in there and makes them another
Exactly.
comic
But
book.
makes
It's
it
like,
Batman.
yeah, you got to limit it to one comic book movie per actor, though. I mean, Chris Evans can break that, but dude, it looks really good. Now, I'm still not sure about Marvel's future. I still find it hard to believe that they can go past Infinity War, and especially with, you know, they can't like I forgot who's the actor's name. Chadwick Bo. Who's the actor's name for
Who's playing T'Challa?
Yeah.
Chadwick
Boseman. I'm gonna go look here. Sorry, Chadwick Boseman. Yes,
yes.
He's really good as Black Panther. But what they're still missing, when Robert Downey Jr. goes, and I know there's actually some people out there who are sick of him, which I think are crazy. Is you're gonna miss that charisma, that the Han Solo of this group. You know, the funny one, the one who's the whole package. I mean, everybody's stoic and handsome, but Robert Downey's charming and funny, and
He's actually, you know what he does is he not only plays the hero, but he also plays the comic relief, and he also plays the exposition, and he also plays as the audience member, believe it or not.
And exactly. Oh, I believe it. And he's a tragic figure too. You can tell, like, well, he's just a complete actor. You can see he works with pain. You know, you could tell there's a pain, but there's a, you know, the reason behind his, his hero's journey was out of pain, and he's got a lot of pain with his parents and stuff. So, and you could just see it in his face, because the guy's just a gifted actor and always has been. You know, demons aside, even, you know, back in the day when he did the Chapman movie, that it was the shit in that. It was amazing. So he's a great actor, even in Back to School. You know, he was amazing in Back to School. You know, he steals scenes. So they're going to need something like that. Who's that going to be? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Chadwick Boseman. I think he'll be a good part of this. I think he'll probably take Captain America's role in this moving forward, because I don't think Chris Evans will stick around. I think Chris Hemsworth actually is going to stick around.
He's having fun. I think he's just having fun with the role. So
yeah, and he could be the comic relief because he is kind of funny dude.
The Ghostbusters remake that just came out, Chris Hemsworth was actually pretty funny in that, believe it or not. He wasn't bad. I mean, granted, the movie's not great, but it's got some funny bits here and there, but nothing spectacular. And he's actually a talented comedian.
I will never see that movie. I will never see that movie.
I happened to get it for free, and I was like, okay, I'll see what it's about. And I saw it. I don't need to see it again.
So yeah, I think Peter Quill, Chris Pratt could do he could take Robert Downey Jr.'s place, I think.
He's actually annoying, believe it or not.
I don't think so.
He doesn't have the charisma that Robert Downey Jr. has.
Oh God, no. He's funny. He's got the acting. He doesn't have the Robert Downey Jr. I mean, you're never going to replace him fully. He's a one of a kind. He's truly unique. But I mean, if you want to take that role, I'd say what you have now, I would pick him. And I think that'd be a legit pick. I don't know how Captain Marvel's going to be. I'm pretty down on that movie because it's nothing against the actress. It's more of the character. It's just Brie Larson. It's just a nothing character. And the proof in that is the comic sales. Just look at the comic sales. I think I can't remember. It's been canceled 4 times, and books have been canceled more, but they haven't been relaunched as much as that one. I mean, they really are trying to force the issue with her. And we're both on the record saying that She-Hulk is out of the non-X-Men and non-Fantastic Four, which sucks because your best female characters are in those universes, by the way. Invisible Woman, that she always stands out as the #1 female character to me in Marvel. And just read some of John Byrne's Fantastic Four and read John Byrne's She-Hulk. It's fucking great, and that is just classic comics. And she was Deadpool before Deadpool. She broke the fourth wall before Deadpool. She I want to see that. Her standalone movie would do better than a Hulk standalone movie, even with Ruffalo, if done right. If you got the if you got the right actress to do that. But back real quick to the Black Panther trailer. I think it's gonna. I hope they explain Wakanda. I'm sure they'll explain Wakanda. It looked really good. And
you have a CIA agent, that Ross, who's doing the voiceover, who's saying he's seen aliens fall from the sky and all this kind of stuff. That is your tie-in to what Wakanda is all about, because he's investigating Wakanda.
So they're letting a CIA agent in, which is they're very nationalistic, for Wakanda. And I think part of this is going to be about, the whole, the monarchy and being a king. And, they are called called the task a little bit in the comic books about like holding out on the rest of the world. If you're such this advanced society and you can cure sickness, how come you haven't shared it with the rest of the world? I think that's a legit question, and one they might take to the comic books. And I think, they even set up that this was going to be kind of Wakanda's coming out party in Civil War before the explosion and death of his father. So it's going to be interesting, and they can really do a lot of stuff. There's a rather interesting stories that could be done. I know, God, every time there's a king involved, everybody's going to go, "Oh, it's Game of Thrones." It's like, no, you can do Marvel. Okay, do Marvel. Don't do Game of Thrones, and you could still have an interesting story. There's ton. You go back to the Kirby stuff. The Kirby stuff is really good.
Even the recent stuff where you have his sister Shuri who takes over, because the reason. Okay, so there is a potion that every Black Panther takes, and it's supposed to be that the Black Panther essence accepts them. And it didn't accept Shuri, his sister, because she was jealous. So that's the reason why she never became the Black Panther. And why T'Challa did become that. And later on in the storylines, actually it's fairly recent, like about 3 years old now, I believe. 2014. So yeah. She ends up resolving that and becoming a Black Panther, and they share the mantle of Black Panther. And then at one point, she ends up taking over Wakanda and forcing Black Panther out because of, and basically sealing off the city, sealing off the country to any outsiders. So, and then it comes back around again where she ends up sacrificing herself for the good of Wakanda and bringing T'Challa back in and all this stuff. So there is a good storyline in there as well.
So she ends up being jealous, and she tricked the Black Panther formula and became
she ended up resolving it.
Dictator.
And then,
okay.
Yeah. Well, she ended up having a good reason to kick him out. I don't know what the reason was. I was just skimming over some of this.
Is this part of the all different Marvel that they were doing, where they replaced all the mantles of every character?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I was out after that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
but I heard it was actually good. So.
Well, it's not doing so good now. I think Black Panther sells, with a movie coming out, it sells somewhere around 16,000 comics nationwide. That's pretty bad. But if you want to go see complaints about comics, go to other channels. There's people better at it than we are. But the movie looks outstanding, and there's so many ways you can go. I am an old guy, and I don't think a lot of people have read the Kirby stuff. And this is where most of, again, what Dennis just mentioned, that's total retcon. That is not how the Black Panther mantle used to go down. It used to be a lineage thing, and it wasn't, you weren't totally imbued. You had power, but you weren't imbued with like these, a mechanized suit. Now, the mechanized suit thing actually makes sense since they mine vibranium. Why didn't you make a vibranium suit? Come But as the years have gone by, Wakanda has turned out from just a normal African country to like this super secret, like basically
Technologically
middle
advanced. Yeah.
technology Middle Earth kind of thing. So
It's Adelon. It's basically
yeah,
Adelon.
it's Adelan. Yeah, it's Adelan, and that's a great analogy for it. And I think that's going to be cool. And I love how they're bringing that stuff in. I love that they're bringing that in, and the galactic stuff. I want them. That's the cool stuff. I mean, I love me some grounded Marvel. My favorite character, other than Spider-Man, is Daredevil. But I love Warlock, Adam Warlock. As a character, I own every one of his comics. I've read every one of his comics, and it's just and he was a weird character back when I was a kid, and then he died, and it's like that back when characters didn't die that much and come back. So yeah, it's great what they're doing, and going galactic is the right way to go, man. I think that is really cool, especially when you're so far ahead of DC now. DC is going to have to do the Earth-based stuff first. I know DC's trying to go from back to front on their movies, but Marvel's so far ahead of them. I also think it's interesting they released this trailer a little early. It was kind of a surprise. I think it was on the heels of all the DC stuff, and I think it was like rubbing salt in their wounds a little bit. I love how the competition between Marvel and DC bled over into the movies. That's just brilliant, man. So brilliant.
Yeah, especially yeah. I mean, with the trailers. I love how DC puts out a trailer and then Marvel's like, oh yeah, by the way, that was nice. Here, let's give you this one.
Cute trailer. Yeah. Here's just something from one of our characters. This is a February release movie. It's just a little thing we're doing, a little indie film. So back to She-Hulk real quick. I think the reason, it's I've heard Netflix. I don't know if that.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think Netflix is the right place for her. I think she's actually better for a movie. And I always side with TV first, but I think part of the reason nobody's come out and said it, but if she is attached to the Hulk, then Universal must own her distribution rights. And maybe that's why Marvel hasn't gone ahead and done a She-Hulk movie yet. Now she could be a team member in another comic, but I don't know if she can have her own without Universal. I would imagine she is attached to the Hulk film rights. And then there was one. Both of my co-hosts have abandoned me, but actually we've been recording this podcast over the last 2 weeks, and as I was putting the finishing touches on, I noticed that the Punisher trailer had dropped with a release date, and that release date is November 17th, which just happens to be the day Justice League is coming out. And for those of you who just think that is a coincidence, don't be naive. I don't think it was their original plan, but I don't think Marvel could pass up the opportunity to kind of get a dig in at DC at Warner Brothers. There was a lot of other dates they could have gone. There's a holidays coming up where people are going to be home and have enough time to watch 13 hours of TV. But nope. I think they did it on purpose, and that's okay. We win. We went either way. I'm going to go to Justice League on Thursday night, get home, and by midnight, the first couple of Punishers have dropped. By the way, we will be podcasting every episode over the course of a month. And work be damned. I'm going to go. Now, this trailer was great. It was great. Now, how I feel about the Punisher. The Punisher is, I think, tailor-made for movies and TV. As far as comics go, I'm not really a big fan of him in the ongoing. I loved Garth Ennis' run, but it got long in the tooth. Too many Russian mobsters. But Garth Ennis had some gems. Like my favorite story is when he took on Wolverine. And that was just a classic. That was written by Garth Ennis and drawn by Derek Robertson. Also by both of those guys, they Born, which is basically Wolverine origin version of Punisher. And it insinuates that he has kind of a power that he might have made a deal with the devil and became the tool of punishment on Earth. I don't know how that fits into Marvel these days, but definitely pick it up. It was a Marvel Knights book, so you can kind of look at it as an Elseworlds. But as far as Punisher movies go, I love them both. I really do. I prefer Tom Jane as the Punisher, But Ray Stevens was great too. He actually came to my store and did a promotional event for that movie before it came out, and I got to meet him. And he hung out all day and signed everybody's comic books and posters, and was just a sweet guy. And was one of the greatest moments at my store. I got to meet so many fun people. And I know the Punisher is not popular amongst everybody in comics, even creators. Joss Whedon has said if he took over the Marvel Universe, first thing he would do is kill the Punisher. So I know some people just don't like him. And this isn't really great date night material. If you're like a Sam Peckinpah fan, if you're an old guy, or you liked 80s Arnold, shoot 'em up movies, this is going to be for you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of levity in this one. This looks heavy as hell. That being said, that's what the Punisher is supposed to be. And I think this will be the best look at him, good and bad. Even Bernthal's come out and said that you won't be rooting for him all the time, or if at all. And that's going to be hard, because seeing that he's your main character. But this trailer was amazing. I love how they remix one from Metallica for the second time. And, they're not holding back on him, wearing the skull. And I just want to see his descent in the madness. And it looks like the biggest difference is instead of just going after mobsters, he's going after either a rogue element of the government or the government himself. And, he might come back decorated, but in the comics, he's always been the decorated veteran who came back and was leading a decent life, and then his family got killed. This looks like he came home with, and not saying the other Punisher didn't come back with baggage, but this one's coming back with some big baggage, and then on top of that, his family's getting killed. And it looks dark as hell, but I cannot wait for November 17th, man. That is going to be just November is the month, man. We got Thor coming up, and we've got Punisher and Justice League. So again, we win. Great trailer. Marvel Netflix is just amazing. I know they've kind of floundered a little bit. I love the Defenders, and I am on record as saying my favorite thing from Marvel, the MCU, is Daredevil. Over Winter Soldier, over any movie, the 2 seasons of Daredevil are perfect to me. As close to perfect as you can get anyway. So really happy to see this Punisher trailer. And yeah, that's it. So this podcast is finally coming to an end. And before I bring the guys back just to say goodbye, I want to mention that we have a Patreon with no tiers right now. Just, if you want to drop $1 in, cool. If not, that's cool too. I mainly would what I want is your undying love. I'd rather have you subscribe and ring the bell. I'd much prefer that, because what, your time is way more valuable than money. You can get money back. So we do appreciate your time, and we appreciate your comments. So please comment away. It really helps us out. If you don't like something, let us know. We do listen, and we do read the comments. We don't get to it right away because we have day jobs, but we get to them as soon as we can, and we do read every one. So I'm going to bring the guys in now. So that's it, guys.
Rock on.
Take us out, Dennis.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
And may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. I got to do my saying, even though I was only here for one segment. Yay.
That's okay.
Awesome.
You were here the whole time. You just didn't have anything to say.
You have been listening to a Nerdrotic podcast. Please subscribe.